argue with me. You can debate. You can tell me how much you love porn, how much you hate porn, whatever you want to share. Oh, I got to fix this real quick. TikTok. Chat. Boom. TikTok multi-guest. Boom. There we go. All right. So, is porn cheating? Neffy, what's going on? What is up? All right, we're just getting going here. We are getting going. Let's see if my buttons work. Cool. All right, so the question is porn cheating? If you're in a committed monogamous relationship with somebody else, and if you masturbate while watching strangers have sex on a screen, is that cheating, in your opinion? In your opinion, is that cheating? Yes, in my opinion. So in your opinion, it is. Okay, well, let's hear from a guest. Let's hear from Crystal. Oh, Crystal backed out. Anything that your partner says is past their boundaries is cheating. Okay. No, but it's disrespectful. Okay. Man, I love this playlist. Such a good playlist. So, sure is, and it'll lead to physical cheating. Yeah, that's true. Pornography often leads to physical affairs. Doesn't always, but it often does escalate into physical affairs. Hey there, what's going on?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. Is porn cheating?
No, I think it's all just subjective and it depends on people's boundaries. Like, some people think kissing is cheating, some people don't think it's cheating. So I don't really think there's a true answer to this question.
Okay. What do you
But
think?
that's just my opinion. To
Like in
me,
your
no,
relationship?
because I know I wouldn't care. Because I think to me, cheating is either a physical act or like some kind of emotional connection with someone. So I personally wouldn't care. Because it's not like
Got
they
it.
know the person. It's just like a someone on the screen, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So for you in your relationships, you don't care if your partner masturbates to strangers on the internet?
No. I
No.
mean, I would be a
Okay.
hypocrite in that instance because I do too. So,
Oh,
I
you do
mean,
too. Okay.
who am I
Got it.
to say?
Yeah.
Um,
Why do you do that? I'm curious.
why not?
Well, I'm asking you why you do it. Like, you spend time
Um,
masturbating while watching strangers have sex. What do you get out of that?
Same thing people get out of other physical forms of pleasure,
What do you mean by that?
sexual satisfaction.
Sexual satisfaction with the screen. Okay.
Uh,
What are your
no, I
beliefs
mean,
about
I don't think
sex? Like,
the
what is?
screen, the screen isn't physically stimulating me, unless you have a special type of screen that I have yet
Well,
to
they
come up.
exist. I promise you that.
I
I don't
mean,
have one.
let's hope so. Let's hope so one day, but not right now.
Got it. Okay. What are
Wait,
what are
are
your
you against
beliefs?
it? Is that what you're saying? Are
Am
you
I
saying
against what?
are you like anti porn? Like you feel that it's cheating?
Well, I think if you're in a committed monogamous relationship with another person and you've said something like "I love you, only you, mind, body, and soul, till death do us part," if you deviate from that commitment, whether it's using a person on a screen or otherwise, I think you've gone against the agreement and therefore you're cheating.
Oh, why do you feel like it's a deviation from that? Like, what about that to you is a deviation?
Yeah, well, if you've committed to somebody saying, "I'm committed to you, only you, I'm only going to have eyes for you, I'm going to reserve my sexual energy, arousal, desire for you," if you use somebody else on a screen, that would be going against what you committed to.
Okay, I mean, I think you're entitled to that. I just feel differently, but I mean, I might let other folks share their perspective. I just don't see it that way. Like when I'm making a commitment to someone, I'm not promising that. But I understand if that's your
So
framework.
what are you committing to then when you make that commitment?
I'm committing to monogamy. I'm not committing to not having eyes and not noticing other people that are attractive because I feel like that's inevitable. Acting on it, though, I think is something different. Actually,
Got it.
like going out and pursuing
How
relationships is
Yeah, I got
different.
it. So how if you have a commitment of monogamy, and you're using other people for your sexual pleasure, how would that be maintaining the monogamy commitment?
How am I using them? I'm not
Well, they're
engaging
on
with
a
these people.
screen and you've
Right.
reduced them down to a sexual object for your pleasure. You're using them to have an orgasm, presumably.
Okay, well, I'm not using them. This is a consensual exercise. It's not, I'm not out
How
here
do you know that?
exploiting.
That's been debunked. Have you read the book?
Okay, I do agree that some porn is
Okay,
exploitative, but not all, right? Like I'm not
Takedown.
out
That's the
here.
name of the book.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm not watching exploitative porn.
How do you know?
Um, how do you know if it is?
There
Are
was a
there
study
like
done a few years ago on the Hub. 1 in 8 videos on the homepage only were people who are underage or people that were not there consensually. That's just one
okay,
study
I
that was
can't.
done.
I don't watch underage content, so I don't think that
How do you know?
applies.
How do you know?
Um, I think I can tell the difference between a 17-year-old and a 45-year-old, but that's just me.
Got it.
Um,
Yeah. Well,
I think
again,
that question
according to
might
the
be better
data,
suited for you.
at least on the Hub, there's a 15% chance that a video that somebody watches had somebody underage or wasn't consenting to being there. And that's just the ones that they could prove.
I mean, I can't really like argue that. Sure, it just doesn't apply to me. I'm sure that
It's a what?
happens. I'm sure that happens.
Uh huh.
That just doesn't apply to me. I'm not disputing that statistic.
Got it.
I'm not for people watching underage content or exploitative content. Um,
Got it.
anyways, there's a lot more people in this live than I expected. So I don't know if you usually have one-on-ones, but maybe you should um,
I usually just have
invite
one
other
person.
people.
What do you think would
Um,
be better in a relationship to reserve your sexual energy for your partner or to spread it out with strangers on the internet?
I just don't agree with this premise on spreading it out. I don't see sex as like, I don't know, this like rigid thing, like substance that you have to hold and own and not share. And like, I guess, okay, would you be okay
Well,
with you
but
masturbating to like, are you to like thoughts of other people if you're not watching them? Like, would that be okay to you?
well, what you just said would you describe something that's not monogamy, right? Monogamy would be maintaining that standard of having it just with you and your partner. Non-monogamy would be sharing with others by
No, I
definition.
disagree. To me, like monogamy is
Disagree.
relational. So if I'm not, and like again, different people have different types of commitments. To me, a commitment is a relationship where I'm exclusively committed to someone in a romantic sense. I'm not romantically committed to porn stars. So to me, that wouldn't apply.
Got
Uh,
it.
yeah.
Are you in a relationship?
No, I'm not actually.
Got it. Okay. What does your username mean? State of affairs?
What does it mean?
Yeah. Like, is that a play on, like, I mean, I could
I
ask,
actually have
I
no
could
idea
guess, but
what
what does that mean?
I have no idea what I was thinking when I wrote that down. Probably the first thing that came to mind. Probably the state of
State
affairs that were
State of
in fact
affairs XO. What do you think most people think when they see that?
probably something political. I don't know, or
Political.
news
Interesting.
related.
Interesting.
What do you think when you read it? Yeah.
Well, I think the word affairs and then XO seems
Really?
like it could mean something. Sure. I mean, that's just
Your
one thought
mind
that comes
went
to mind.
to like that, like to relationships?
Well,
Interesting.
and then you're describing non-monogamy here, so
I need to know my word. That's really
that's
funny.
why
I
I
know my word.
asked.
A little too much if you ask me, because I don't really put up with a lot. But thanks, Lisa.
How can I ask you how old you are?
I'm 30.
30. Okay.
Oh my god.
When you're in a committed
Oh.
relationship, like does
Thanks, Lisa. I mean, I am committed. I think that's supposed to be backhanded, but I'm not really insulted because, again, that doesn't apply with how I define relationships and commitment. But thanks for wishing that for me.
wait, are
Sorry,
you
go
talking to
ahead.
me or a comment?
No, Lisa's wishing me, I
Oh,
don't know, some love or whatever. So I'm
oh,
just sending
gotcha.
the good vibes back there. Sorry, go
Oh, okay.
ahead.
When you're in a relationship, does it bother you if your partner watches porn?
No, I don't care.
Got it. What if they were masturbating while watching strangers in real life have sex, like not through a screen?
Um, not for me, but for some people, they might enjoy that, but it's not for me.
Like,
Wouldn't consider
would
it
that bother
cheating. I
you?
would
I mean,
consider it a kink.
would that bother you?
Yeah, that would bother me. because I feel like that's less impersonal than watching someone on a screen, or like
Okay.
physically being in the same room as someone. To me is different than, and presumably like knowing those people, like you're not just like stumbling on people that are having sex in the wild, is different than like
Okay.
watching people you have
Why is it
to.
different though? They're still strangers.
Uh, no, I'm saying it is different because most people don't end up in random rooms with strangers having sex, right? Like, you probably have to have the consent of those people to watch, meaning you have to have a conversation with them, know who they are, whatever. So there is some level of
Unlike
like
porn.
personal. No, no, I'm saying what part of what I'm saying is confusing.
I'm just making the point. You said you have to have the consent if that were to happen. I'm saying unlike porn, where you don't have to have the consent.
I mean, addressed that, and I addressed the fact that I don't
I
watch
know. I was reiterating
underage
it.
porn. But yeah, I guess for some folks that would apply. Probably men. I think men enjoy that content. Like teen, preteen porn and all that jazz. Not for me, but
Got it.
probably better suited for other people.
Got it. So if you're in a relationship, how many different women would your partner have to masturbate to in order for you to be like, maybe that's a little bit of a problem?
It's not about the number. That's not how I
So
think
there's no
about it.
number. So it could be he could masturbate to thousands of different women a day instead of being with you, and you'd be like, cool, bro.
That's called a sex addiction. If anybody is spending hours masturbating on the internet and it's creating a problem, as in it's interfering with their relationships, their work, etc., it's not a matter of whether they're cheating on me or not. It's a matter of they have a probably a porn addiction, right? Like it's my worry there wouldn't be about fidelity, it would be about whether they're experiencing some kind of mental health break, you know.
Got it. How do you define fidelity?
Not having in person sexual relationships with other people, and also not pursuing romantic or emotional connections with other people outside of a
Got it.
relationship.
Okay. So if just say hypothetically, you're in a relationship and your partner solicits nude images from somebody else, would that break the fidelity?
Oh, maybe I should add another factor. Maybe how impersonal that connection is. To me, that would be crossing a line. If you're actively reaching out and soliciting something from someone else, that's not okay. If
Okay.
you're watching something on a screen with someone you've never interacted with, I don't care.
Got it.
How might it
Okay.
pick me? I mean, if you want to chase down your boyfriend and like monitor his content, sure, but I'm not someone's
Hey,
mommy, you know?
you're gonna go nuts if you read all the comments. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's a good tip. You're right. I should solicit feedback only from people I actually respect.
All right. So soliciting images of somebody is a problem or isn't a problem for you?
Is a problem.
It is a problem. How is that different than watching
I've
pornography?
already talked
Which
about
is,
this, porn coach.
I know, but I'm trying to.
But
It's not
okay,
adding
so
up, right? So the act of engaging in pornography literally is soliciting nude images of another person.
I gave you a bunch of factors and a framework for why that would be different to me. I talked about like whether how impersonal or personal the interactions are, whether
Well,
they're
the difference as I hear it is I don't know this person, so I can use them as a sexual object. You're saying if you
I
know the person, then it's like you then feel bad using them as a sexual
no,
object.
that's not what I'm saying. It's very clear what I'm saying. I'm talking about the proximity of the relationship and whether it's a personal relationship or a impersonal relationship. It's not about exploitation or whatever. We can talk about that, but that's a different point. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay. Do you think? Well, what point does it become exploitative?
If it's against people's consent, if it's not consenting, if there's a power imbalance. I don't know if people are being trafficked.
Nobody told me about that thing on my face. Come on.
Oh, there
Sorry.
was
Go
something
ahead.
on your face.
There was something on my face. I'm sorry.
Was it like an anti-porn tattoo on your forehead?
No, why?
Oh, okay. I just thought you would like that.
Why? What makes you think that? I haven't said I'm anti-porn.
No, I know you're not, right? You don't watch porn, right? Um, do
I
you
don't
watch
watch
porn?
porn, but I don't watch
Okay,
porn. No,
okay.
no.
Well, I'm sure your partner is happy about that.
I don't see the value in masturbating while watching strangers have sex on the internet.
And does your partner agree?
When I stopped masturbating, watching strangers have sex on the internet, my partner was very thrilled with that because
Nice.
everything got better in our lives because we were able to have true intimacy with one another as opposed to fake intimacy with make believe people, or not make believe, but people on a screen.
Like, I think so. I just want to flag something. I think it's different if you live with your partner. I
If
don't
you if you what?
live with your partner. I feel
Why would
like
that
if you
matter?
live with someone, you have more opportunities to actually engage in like sexual intimacy, right? If you have a long distance relationship, if you are, I don't know, you live an hour away and you see your partner 2 times a week, it's like, to me, I would totally understand why someone would want to fulfill those needs when their partner is not away, like not in close proximity. And I feel like porn is a safer way to do it while maintaining monogamy. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
I'd love to read this chapter, but I'm not going to because I'll for sure get banned. Chapter 10 in the porn myth, it says, sure, CP, read between the lines, child stuff is a problem, but I only watch adult porn. No harm in that. He beautifully disrupts that engagement.
Okay, porn course. Do you think I can't tell the difference between a 50-year-old man and a and a 14-year-old boy?
I think you can, but can you tell the difference between a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old?
Even though I don't really watch content that
Yeah. Here's the
would
thing.
like
In
inform
the
me
end,
about
we are
these things.
responsible for the businesses we choose to endorse with our money and our mouse clicks.
I
Choosing
agree.
to avoid child porn and to watch only adult porn may sound noble to some, like you're demonstrating here. But in the end, it only supports an industry that tries with all its might to sexualize youth. So it's very noble of you to say that, but you're
You
still
can say that
supporting
about
an
anything,
industry.
right? Like you could say that about, I don't know, the food that you eat. Like those industries, what their production capabilities adversely affect the environment. But that's just the
So,
reality of any. There's like pros and cons of anything, right? Like that doesn't mean you're not going to go out and eat because oh, a company creates like a company has high carbon emissions, right? It's like what you can do, what's in your control, is making responsible choices, right? Like probably looking at sustainable options, etc. So in my case, I'm not going out and seeking companies that produce content for underage folks, and I'm not watching that type of content. Are some people doing that? Yes, and we should be
well,
doing
okay.
what we
So
can to,
fine.
like,
Let me just ask you this.
sure.
You're like crusading. I'm just curious, why is it so important for you to be like so like yeah, porn is great. Why
I'm
is
not
that why is it
crusading.
so important
That's
to
so
you?
funny. Interesting you say that. I think you're the one who's like starting this conversation. So to me, I'm not crusading for anything. I'm just sharing my perspective.
I got
And
it.
it's
Why
okay.
but why
It's
why
okay
is
if
it
you
so
feel differently.
I know it is. And I don't
Yeah,
we can differ. That's fine. That's why we're having a conversation. Well, I'm just
exactly.
curious, why is it so important for you to maintain that line of like porn is good?
I never said porn is good. I'm saying that porn that isn't exploitative is okay. And your question was more so towards, am I okay with my partner like digesting that content? And my answer is yes, right?
What
Does
is
that mean I'm
what is what is non-exploitative porn?
porn with consenting adults who aren't being exploited?
What does that mean?
We already went through this, so I don't
Let's
know.
go through it again.
Okay, I haven't been on your lives before, so I don't know how these conversations go. Okay, but do you typically like? I think you've gotten my perspective. Do you want to talk to other people in the audience? Because I'm just like, I don't want to waste your time by like saying the same things over and over again.
Well, you can leave whenever you want to.
Oh, I mean, I'm just asking, like, are we going to talk about something else, or is the objective to like
Nope, I'm a
go through
one-trick
the same
pony.
points over and over? Oh, you are. Okay,
Well,
well,
I mean,
that's
again,
awkward.
I'll keep digging, but
But
again,
you're
it's
not
just
digging. You're
fascinating to
asking
me.
the same. You're asking the same
Well, you're
questions. Like,
but
it would be cool
you're
if you were expanding on the ideas, but we're not. We're just like, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah, blah,
because the
same
ideas
questions.
are so simple. Either we view people as wholly dignified beings that deserve to be honored, valued, respected, and protected, period, or we don't, and we use them
Sex
as
work is real
objects.
work. Sex work is real work. Your
No,
moral framework.
sex work is not real
Listen,
work, and a
your
woman's
moral
body is
framework.
not a marketplace to be transacted
Your
upon.
your your moral framework and your view of sex is exclusive to you. You don't have the right to dictate how other people value
I'm
sex,
not
how they use it.
dictating it. I'm
You
not
are
dictating it.
because you're
No, I'm
imposing your
not. You
moral
can do,
framework
you.
on other
I'm not
people.
imposing anything. You can do whatever you want. I'm fine with that. I'm
I'm
just
not doing
curious
it.
though.
They're doing it and they're okay with it. So who are you to say that they're being exploited or it's non consenting
I'm not.
or
I'm
that it's wrong?
challenging your claims. And the data suggests that it's not consenting in at least 15% of cases on the largest
Okay, I'm
site in
talking
the
about the
world.
other 85%. Are you going to address that or are we going to keep talking about
Yeah,
the
the other
majority?
85% we don't know. The 15% are only the ones that could be proven in that particular study.
Okay, let's say even it's 50%. Okay. So 50% of those folks engaging in, I don't know, pornography are consenting adults. But you're saying, like, I think your point was that you made like a value-based statement on like what porn is, like, and how it actually what it means for intimacy. I don't think that's true. Or what it means
Well,
for the value of people. You're like, value, that's not true. That's just a
well, what I no,
subjective.
what I said was this is an I statement, not projecting it to anybody else. I
Okay.
believe that people are
I'm
fully
not mad.
dignified people
Yeah.
who should be treated with dignity, honor, and respect. And I don't think that it is dignifying of a person if I were to go masturbate to them, right? Because when we do that, we're reducing the person down to only their sexual value. Do people
But
have
you see,
sexual
that's
value?
an
Yes.
you
However,
statement.
people are much more than that. So that's how I choose to orient to the world.
Okay, but did you hear how that's a judgment made by you? I don't share that value system. When I see people engaging in porn, I don't make a value-based statement on who they are. You're saying that you
Hold on,
do
hold on,
when
hold
you
on,
see.
hold on. No. I'm
I'm
saying
repeating your words back to you.
this is how I see the world. I'm not asking you to see it
Exactly.
that way.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm saying to
So
me it has.
how do you view people then?
I think people have the right to do whatever they want as long as they're
That's
consenting
not
and
nope. I didn't ask what people's rights are. I asked how you view people.
as autonomous beings who have the for them in most cases or in some cases, right, outside of those whatever parameters to make decisions just like I do, right? So I'm not going to go around policing people and their decisions and what that means for who they are. That's just not what I do. So
Even if you loved them, you wouldn't try to call somebody into more if they were doing something that you thought might not be helpful for them.
I'm happy to give my opinion, but at the end of the day, it's not my place to dictate people's lives. Just like other people, if I ask people for feedback about my life, then great, I'm happy to get that feedback. But I'm sure you wouldn't want someone giving you unsolicited feedback on your relationship and then imposing their views on how, for example, like you should engage in your relationship. So why would I do that to other people, right?
Well, I mean, there's unsolicited advice, and then there's being able to speak into other people's lives. Here's a question: do you believe a woman's body should be a marketplace to be transacted upon?
Um, I think people have the right to do whatever they want with their
We're not
bodies.
talking about other people's rights. Do you believe a woman's body should be a marketplace to be transacted upon?
I think women have the right to do whatever they want with their bodies as
When
long
you
as
go
they
back
want.
to rights, you're correct. You're correct. People
I don't
do
know
and
how I
should
can
have the
answer
right.
your
I'm
question.
saying in your belief, do you think that it should be that a woman's body should be a marketplace to be transacted upon?
That question doesn't make sense. Like, what do you mean it should be? It should be like I'm not saying it should be. I'm saying people have the right to do whatever they want. Should you eat
That
cake?
okay,
Can I
okay,
can I make a
hold on.
statement? Should you eat cake? No, you don't. That makes no sense. Should you? I guess you can eat cake,
Do you
but
think we
should
should
you eat
create?
cake?
Do you
It
think
doesn't make sense.
that economies should be created around selling women's bodies?
Is there an economy on cake? Yes, right. Like
Do
again,
you
as long
think
as it's
there should be
ethical.
an economy created around selling women's bodies?
If there's consumer demand, if women want to engage in those activities, and if it's
Do you
ethical,
think
why
that
not?
there should be economies created around selling women's bodies?
I think I just said yes, and I explained why.
Okay, so you believe that economies should be created around selling women's bodies.
I'm not
Okay,
okay.
that's your belief.
I know the way I know what you're doing, and I don't like that. You're misstating my point. I'm not saying
No,
there
I'm not. I'm
should be.
asking a very simple
I'm saying
question. Do you
if
think that
people
that's how
choose,
it should be?
I don't believe in should statements. Okay, if we're talking about actual like are like is statements, then am I okay with those industries existing? Yes, if it's consensual. But should is like a personal judgment. I don't really have a like I'm not I don't control supply and demand, so I can't tell you which markets should exist and which markets should not exist. Like give you an analogy, like I come from a Muslim background, right? So growing up, I didn't eat pork. So if you would have asked me 20 years ago, I would have said, no, there shouldn't be markets for pork. Okay, but it's like me saying that means nothing because those markets exist, right? That's different than me giving you my
It
opinion on those specific markets.
No, it reveals what you actually think and believe, which I'm fine with what you think and believe. I'm just curious where these beliefs are rooted in. So at least
Okay.
with pornography, it's rooted in the fact that you think that women's bodies should be marketplaces to be transacted upon. So
No, I
that's your
wouldn't phrase it
belief.
that way, but
Well, that's
I
what you
wouldn't
just
phrase it that way.
said. You just said yes to that.
Well, I explained why I wouldn't frame it that way. Do I think they should exist? Um, I have no issue with them existing. That doesn't mean that I think they should exist. Like I don't feel like it's my place to dictate what other people do with their bodies. So if people want to engage in
Dude,
that market, they
you
have to
keep going
participate.
back to that. People have free
And
will.
I don't know
Yes,
why
absolutely.
I don't know. I think it's an important clarification. So I don't know why that bothers you because
It
you keep
doesn't
saying
bother
that it's
me.
like a
It's I'm
no, it
asking
does
a
bother me.
question. I'm asking a
Yeah,
question about what you believe, and then you're turning it back to a statement about free will that people can do whatever they want, which is correct. I
exactly.
agree with you. I agree with you, but that's separate
Okay.
from the question that I'm asking. So I can
Let's
probably
just go
ask you
with
a bunch more
yes, sir.
questions,
Let's
and you're
go
going to
with
go back
yes.
to
Let's go with yes. If you just want a
okay,
yes or no answer without nuance, then let's go with yes.
got
Sure.
it. Okay, okay, interesting, interesting. Was that so hard?
Yeah, it was okay because
Why was it
it's
so hard to say that?
because I think that you're purposefully misconstruing my point. So like
You can say whatever you want to. It's you're. I'm just trying to
I
extract what
did,
you
and
believe, and
I know I did.
you just stated you believe here that we should create economies around women's bodies being sold.
Again, that's not what I said, but that's how you want to
Okay,
interpret
then
it. So it's like I
well
can't
then
keep
say
going
it in
back.
your own words then.
I did, and you told me 3 times that
No,
that
you
doesn't make
didn't, because
sense.
if you're going to say people are going to do whatever they want to, that's true.
Yeah, so that is my answer to that question. Like, just because you dislike that answer doesn't mean it's not my answer.
No. It's not that I don't. I asked you a question about women's bodies, prostitution, and then you're talking about cake.
What's your name? Because I want to say your name, but I don't know what your name is. That
What's
was
my name?
obviously
My
an
name's Austin.
analogy. Okay, well, Austin, it was very clear what I was making that analogy in reference to, and it was relevant when we were talking about that. So no, this conversation isn't about cake, although I do
Okay.
like cake.
Well, I
Um,
I like cake too, but I think it's a stretch to take to make an analogy with cake,
Heather, yeah, I'm
a
very scared.
dessert,
I'm
a
shaking in my
dessert.
boots. Austin is so intimidating. Oh my God. What will he say next? So scary. Okay, I'm
So
sorry.
scary. It's so scary.
I know you told me to ignore the comments.
Well, you do whatever you
Okay,
want. You got free will.
you're right. I love that
I
for
think
you.
it's a
Okay,
stretch to talk about cake as compared to a fully dignified human being.
I feel like people who engage in sex work are dignified. Um, okay, Austin. I don't know how do people end this because I'm just like clearly we disagree, right? And it's like meh. So,
Meh. All right.
what's
Well,
the polite way? What's the socially
polite
acceptable?
way.
How do people
I'll
get
I'll
off of a
kick you
line?
off.
Because I wasn't
Thanks for
even done.
sharing. Nice
You're
chatting with
gonna kick
you.
me out?
We'll see you
That's
later.
so mean.
I mean, I'll
Okay.
disconnect you. Yeah, yeah. Take care. Bye
Okay,
bye.
cool. Take care.
Oh man, I think I'm getting sick. It's very sad. What's up, people? Good to see y'all. All right, who's next? Rob.
What's up?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Good. Thanks for asking, man.
Yeah. Have I talked to you before?
No, I think this
No?
is my first time talking to you.
Okay. All right. Well, it's porn cheating.
Yeah, so is porn cheating?
Yeah.
I've never been in a porn myself. I've filmed but without their consent. But I will come in their hair and kick her the fuck out of the house.
See you later, Rob. Hey there. What's going on?
Hey, we talked like a month ago. I don't know if you remember.
I remember.
Okay, perfect. So, me and my boyfriend broke up recently, and it was just kind of like I accepted the fact that he was never going to change. And he continued to, you know, be in your counseling service and not change his behavior. So I feel like that he was in the counseling service for me more so, like more than for himself. And so it was just unchanged behavior, and it was just like piling up with a bunch of other stuff, and then we just had to end it. So
Sorry to hear that. What
thanks.
yeah. Um, what are, how are you doing?
I am all right. I mean,
Tell me about
so
yourself again. What do you do?
I'm a dancer still on the weekends.
Oh, like an exotic dancer?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if you like remember anything that we were like talking about, but yeah, I'm still doing that on the weekends, and then
Well, okay.
um
All right. So he presumably was doing something you weren't happy with, you're you're a dancer on the weekends?
yeah.
How do you reconcile those things?
So I know we talked about this last time I was on here, but it was just like more so for the finances problem, and he was the sole provider, and we just needed like extra help with everything, so that's why I kind of went back to it, because I don't want to stay in the industry for forever. I'm like 27 years old, turning 28 this year. I've been in the industry for the past 4 years off and on, and it's just like it's a very toxic industry, and
Mm,
I'm not like, I'm not um what's the word? I'm not trying to like tell anybody, oh, it's a great industry to be in, blah blah blah, but I'm just doing it for the money at this point, because finances are tough. And that's pretty much it. But I feel like with me being in the industry and going back to it while being with this person, my ex now, I feel like it didn't really make a difference with him, but I don't know. It was just like his old behaviors, like even before I started dancing, just never changed.
yeah, got it. Well, I'm sorry you're going through that. It's hard. Um,
Yeah.
what I guess you said you guys broke up. What's next for you then?
So honestly, so he moved out and everything, and I still have this apartment with our kid, and we agreed we don't want to go to court for like child support or anything like that, because according to employment, I am unemployed still, because I'm just working under the table with this job. And so I'm either telling him I'm going to take you to court for child support, or we're going to have a mutual agreement saying that pretty much, because my bills are our son's bills at this point, and he needs to provide for that even if I'm unemployed, because I wouldn't make as much money as he makes with his employment, because he pushes a lot of hours and he makes over minimum wage, and he makes really good money. So I'm kind of stuck with like the finances on my part, and it's just a whole stressful situation. I would
Mm,
say it's a lot.
yeah, got it. That's tough.
Yeah.
Um, I don't remember our last conversation in detail, but are you trying to get out of dancing?
Yeah, like I said, I'm just doing it for the finances. Like I'm not doing it long term. I want to be eventually a real estate agent, long term goal career
Oh
of
yeah, I
mine.
remember now. It was because I was asking you about like what would it take for you to become a real estate agent, right?
Yeah, like the sales kind of conversation.
Yeah, and I think there was
Yeah.
something you had to do, like take a test or something like that. Did you do that?
No, not yet. I'm still saving a lot for that, because I have a lot of bills to pay like this week or whatever. So that's going to kind of ruin my bank or my money making so far. But yeah, it's like over like $300 to take a course. And then I don't know how long the license lasts after the course. I think it's like 10 years or something, or something like that.
Got it. So you need $300 basically to take the course.
Yes.
Okay. Wasn't it like months ago we talked? I mean, I get it, money's tight, but if you're really wanting out of this, um, can you start saving towards that?
Well, yeah, definitely. Like I've been saving a lot since, and I'm only doing it on the weekends, and I'm not guaranteed a paycheck like how a normal job would. But and there's been like a pretty couple shitty nights there. So, but I am definitely saving, and I'm just kind of saving for my own self and saving for our son and saving for my career goals. And given that my son's dad is making a lot of money, I'm just like kind of relying on him for like the bills that really need to be paid so I don't kind of wipe myself out of everything that I've been making so I can, have a plan B and a fallback on myself if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Are you guys trying to reconcile your relationship?
I really don't think so because the porn addiction, like the whole the sex intimacy, the chemistry, it's like it's not there, and I don't believe that it's ever gonna come back. I've kind of just like accepted fate with it. I'm like this, and plus on top of it, when TikTok was gonna be banned or whatever, he got Red Note. And I went on his phone one night and I clicked on the Red Note app and a bunch of girls came up. Like girls that are his type, big boobs, big butt, slim waist, Asian, whatever. So, and then you can click on watch history rather than like going to like, oh, your liked videos or whatever. There's a watch history. So it shows you what you clicked on. And I confronted him about it and he denied it and he was like, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, blah blah blah." He's like, "Oh, at least I'm not liking the pictures, I'm just looking at them." And I'm like, "It's the same difference." So, it's like he I just I fully believe that he's never going to change his behavior because it has never changed. It's just only been covered up by a lie and by deleting all his stuff. So,
Yeah. All right.
yeah.
I got it. So that's tough. And I like, what are you really wanting here? Are you wanting him to change, or are you wanting to change your life and your relationship to porn and sex and the industry and all that?
Well, more so, I really don't care what he does anymore. More so, like my life and our son's lives, and just like raising him up to know about like, because I know that you recommended a book about like young boys looking at porn or whatever. I think at least,
Hmm.
but I want to raise our son up right and like let him know about like industries like the birds and the bees pretty much. So I really don't care what our son's father does with his life. I only care about raising our child good and well and him knowing about this stuff so he doesn't end up like his father. So that's my goal with
Can I ask you
his.
a tough question that you might not like?
Yeah.
What if he ends up like his mother,
Like in what way?
uh, engaging in prostitution or dancing or pornography?
I would talk to him about it and I would try to make myself unfindable, I guess is the word for digital footprint shit. But I would not let him know about, or I would try not to let him know or find out about what I used to do when I was younger, when I was trying to raise him up with him being a baby right now. He's only almost like 10 months. So
So
eventually,
you
once he gets in, what's
so you
that?
want to hide who you really are from your son.
Well, it's not real. I don't want to like, I don't want to categorize myself as that, as that's who I really am either, because
Well,
that's
but
not
it's
who I
it's
am. I'm
true.
a,
It's true, at least in this season of your life.
well, yeah, but it's not just who I am though. It's like
I got
I'm
it. It's
only,
part. It's part of what you do. Yeah. Yeah. No. Totally.
yeah. So I don't want to label myself as, oh, that's who I am. That's just who I am, blah, blah, blah. I'm not just a stripper. I'm not just an ex OnlyFans content creator. I'm not just that. And I just want to add on to that too is like, I'm actually like trying to get back into my own religion too. I was baptized Roman Catholic and I want to get back into church on Sundays. I want to start a tradition like that with my family eventually in the future. I want to maybe baptize my son. So, but back to the original question, if he finds that out, I will explain to him if he has questions. But if he doesn't have questions and he's never going to find that out, then I don't think there's a purpose of me telling him what I used to do.
Got it. Well, can I just give you kind of feedback on what I'm hearing here?
Yeah.
And I get your situation is hard. Okay. You're so focused on your boyfriend or your ex-boyfriend's behavior, which is valid. And where's the looking into what you're doing, your behavior, and what's going to be required from you to make the changes in your life that you claim you want to make? I'm recalling more of the conversation we had. I think it was a few months ago now, and I don't hear a whole lot has changed since we talked.
Yeah. It's just the, I would say just continuous of the finances problem.
Well, yeah, and I
Is
think
like,
because I think I asked you how much you made last time, and we kind of determined you could go make that at like a, you know, I don't want to say average job, but like a job that you don't have to have a lot of skill to get.
yeah, I think you mentioned something like that
Yeah.
too. But then it's like,
Like, I don't know if you have In-N-Out where you live, but you can make $20 an hour at In-N-Out. That's like 40 grand a year.
we don't even have it. I don't think we have an In-N-Out. I think it's at like a burger place or something.
Yeah, it's a burger place, the best burger place.
Damn, I know about it, but there's nothing here like that. But another thing too that's really hard is that me and him are against daycare. We kind of like talked about that
Oh, I
even
remember
before
that.
he. Yeah, we
And I
kind of
asked you the
talked.
question, which are you against more, daycare or being a stripper?
Yeah, and I think I mentioned again, shoot, what did I say to that? Because that was a hard question.
Yeah. Well, I think you said you were more against being a stripper.
Yes, that would be the only logical kind of answer, I think.
Well, then,
Yeah.
so here's the reality, though: is we aren't what we say we do or believe. We are what we do. So
Yeah.
will you have your actions be congruent with what you claim to believe? Your actions
Yes.
indicate right now you actually care more about stripping than putting your kid in daycare.
Yeah, it's just that I'm solely doing it so we don't have to go through like the kind of sacrifice to put him in daycare this early in his life too. And I'm already suffering from like postpartum anxiety and depression on top of that. So it's just hard to accept the fact that if I need to go to like actual work and be in the books kind of thing, then we'd have to give him up to get to daycare, and that would absolutely kill me because it's like I know what goes on. There's like horror stories everywhere about everything. So it's a risk, and it just like it fucks with my anxiety, and it's hard
Yeah,
to
I
kind
got
of
that.
accept.
I mean, there's not a right answer to this, but yeah, there's risk to that. But look at behind the scenes of what you're doing at your job. There's a whole behind the scenes there too.
Yeah.
And somebody in the comments said you can work in a daycare and bring your child. Yeah, and you can get a discount too.
Oh, I did not even know that. I thought you needed like a license to be daycare too.
Well, but you might, but you get the license.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
You're
Anyways,
right.
well, thanks for chatting. Thanks for
Yeah,
checking in.
thanks for
Yeah.
accepting me back on.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Nice chatting with you. See ya.
You too. Bye.
Not in New York, just fingerprints. Oh, see, fingerprints in New York, and maybe the fingerprints have to pass a test as well. What's up, Trina? Good to see you. Did I see Caitlin in there too? I'm getting sick. I don't like this. Danimal, what's going on?
Hey, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, thanks. Is porn cheating?
In my educated opinion, it is. I mean, we have to look at it first from a moral standpoint of view, and that's something that many of us in this younger generation, speaking for myself, classified as millennial, but I consider myself Gen X. I mean, I'm 38, but it is. It is. It's something it deteriorates both the soul and the spirit. Uh, there was a scripture once that Christ said, and he said, "Fear not that which can kill the body, but fear that which can kill both the body and the soul, and condemn them both to hell." Um, Pornography is exactly that. I mean, I'm only speaking from a spiritual standpoint of conviction. My life was wildly different years ago. I lived a wild life, man. My life was anything I wanted, when I wanted, where I wanted it, and that included just about any woman. Um, it did. I'm a tattoo artist, a bike builder, and my work as a welder took me all over America. And one day I decided that I was tired of getting screwed, quote unquote, by work, and that I wanted something more. And I had applied actually to the adult industry, but it was on such a level. I said, I don't even want to get paid. I just, you know, I'll fly myself out there. I'll make my own way. Just use me for whatever set you got. I don't really care. That's how far gone I was. And yeah, I mean, my conversion took place literally with probably an 8 to 10 weeks after that by a huge spiritual awakening that I'll never forget. And maybe one day that'll be on my own channel talking about that. But looking back, I mean, I had learned to love in the flesh and from the flesh. I was in relationships that, the porn had even found its way into, the bedroom, where, whatever girl and I at that time thought, oh, this would be a cute idea. This would be something, spice things up. But I mean, it was just, even at times that I sought it to be viscerally or visually appealing to me, you could see her physical and psychological distaste. That, wow, you think that's hot, you think that's attractive. And I was kind of repulsed in the moment, like, oh shoot, like, man, I didn't know that could denigrate a woman's integrity so bad. And I've been listening for about 45 minutes or so, and you've had some very good arguments and very good points. And a lot of people will disagree with me that it's not cheating, that there is a moral aptitude known as the free will, and that is something, fortunately, that God did give the created from the Creator, that we are free to do what we are going to do. But those of us that have gone before us said, we should be free to act not how we want, but how we ought to act. And I mean, I would have never been here today if it wasn't for a spiritual awakening and finding and discovering truth and having sight revealed to me for being blind for so many years. I look at the woman now with a divine sense of appreciation. Not so much as just, wow, look at those curves or her eyes or her hair, or, I wonder what this part feels like or that part feels like. But, you step out of yourself and you begin to appreciate all that there is in the spirit. And psychology, the root word psychos, comes from Greek, meaning spirit itself. And there's two spirits, that which is of God and that which is of the diabolical. And the soul is both a very spiritual filament of the body, like a light bulb, and it's tarnished by either what we do and enhanced by what we also do. So we do have a choice, right and wrong, which leads me back to the scripture I said earlier. Fear not that which can kill the body, but that which can kill the soul and the body and condemn both to hell. I know what I'm saying here is very spiritually enriched, but it's true. And if I came on here saying anything else but untruth, where would that lead your listeners? So the free will is something that is very good, but the world is in chaos. I mean, if we want to take a look at Kanye Kanye West's wife as of late, who was on the Grammys in next to nothing, which left little to the imagination. I mean, what did that do to the viewers but scandalize them and cause lust? And where does lust lead us? Obviously, but deterioration of mind, body, and soul. And it'll take years for those who do advocate for the use of pornography to finally come to see the root of their destruction, because it's not just physically, it's not just spiritually, but it's also emotionally and mentally, and their lives will eventually corrupt into turmoil till they have no turning point. It will corner them. So yeah, I definitely didn't think so in my early years that porn was ever cheating. I thought it was a tool for like how to enhance relationships or how to be a better lover. I fell for the worldly things in so many ways that this is sanctionable. I excused myself from every truth that in whatever way I could use it to benefit me, it was redeemable. But looking back, man, I was a mess. And I hurt a lot of people in my path. I did. I was a train wreck.
I love it, man. Thanks for sharing. When you said you're 38, when did you get on this path to changing?
I was 33. I'd applied for a job for a pipe welder, which led me out to North Dakota, and I ended up in Fargo, small town, not that big, and I met a gorgeous woman, older than me, and I thought everything would be great, but my faith was in the trash. I was just kind of like one of those weekend warriors, like only praying when it was like really necessary, and my life was absolutely going to hell. So we fell apart because once again we had built our relationship on the flesh. And I decided to stick around a little bit longer and keep working because North Dakota is extremely beneficial in the trades. They weren't really impacted by economic devastation of any sorts. And, my life continually got worse being in the trades. My access to anything of, substance use and abuse was high. So one thing led to another. And so it was 2020, right before COVID. So I'd say November, yeah, I think it was November of 2019 that I had made that application. And I think that was unbeknownst to me, it was kind of like my soul crying out to God, like, hey, wait a minute, we're going the wrong way. Like the flesh is going one way, the spirit's going the other way, and I'm going crazy in the middle of it. And then by March, I had found myself in the middle of this spiritual awakening and conversion, which I'll be honest, man, I didn't want any part of. I had no intent of turning back to truth until my deathbed and say, okay, I had my fun. Now I guess I'll say I'm sorry. But about 4 years ago, I'll say this, it hasn't been easy for anybody that's wondering the same thing and stuck in that same path. Like, how do I get out of this? Whether it's a closet fetish, whether it's a secret society of like their own little doing or whatever, it's not going to be easy. The road back is never easy, and you're not going to receive a hero's welcome with it. You're not going to, just one day wake up and it's done, or have this gift of sight where, you can see the woman in a feminine, divine sense. And I don't say divine feminine like the world does, but the way woman was intended to be viewed. And it's a lengthy path, but it's one worth walking, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks for sharing. You've been through a lot, and appreciate you opening up and sharing.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Thanks
All
for
right.
having me on.
You got it, man. We'll see you. Did you meet? Nope, she didn't mean to. Sorry, Anonymous Love. That's okay. Hey there, what's going on?
Hi. So I've been listening for probably about 20 minutes. I I'm torn about your question. Is porn cheating? Uh, I was definitely getting a little frustrated with a state affairs when she was up here, and kind of the circles that you guys were going in. From my perspective, it did seem kind of like uh, you were almost trying to set her up for a gotcha moment, and she was dodging it. But I also could pick up on the fact that she wasn't even very certain about what she really believed, and
Mhm.
she could kind of feel that she was about to run up against that gotcha, and then would deke her way out of it. Um,
Mhm.
I was
Totally.
wondering, kind
Well,
of,
and can I just address that?
for sure.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that. It's not a gotcha moment necessarily. What I try to do is just figure out and help people figure out what they actually believe. Here's the thing: if it feels like a gotcha moment to the person, then maybe there's an invitation there to challenge your belief,
Hmm.
right? So, anyways, but go ahead.
Yeah. Definitely like a sense of conviction if it's kind of looking like a gotcha moment.
Hmm.
Um, I guess how do you suggest people who are kind of new to the whole idea of like pornography being toxic and not positive in relationships or just even for the individual, like how do you think that those conversations should start like within a relationship?
Well, you got to realize I do this for a living, and I encourage people to have the most difficult conversations first. Why beat around the bush,
Right.
right? So, my short answer, this isn't like the go do this answer, but it should be the first thing you talk about on the first date. Hey, do you watch
Hmm.
porn? How do you view people? How do you view a woman? What are your views on if a woman's body should be a marketplace? Because those are super important things to figure out as soon as possible. I believe you probably saw it in that interaction with that woman. This all boils down to how you view people. Do you view them as objects for your sexual pleasure or not? Or something
Mm,
that is a whole dignified human being with dignity that
mm,
should be treated with dignity, honor, or respect? Or do you view them like cake? Yeah. So that's what the whole pornography thing in my orientation really boils down to.
mm,
Because I think if we believe that people should be treated that way, then we wouldn't go masturbate to them. We wouldn't objectify them for our selfish gain,
mm.
right? So
Right. Yeah.
so how do you have that conversation? I don't know, right? It's got to be,
Mhm.
in the context of the relationship, what you're comfortable with. But I can tell you, can I ask you how old you are?
Yeah, I'm 24.
24. Okay, so you're relatively young, right? So like having this conversation can be really, I'll say, scary or uncomfortable. It's like people don't just talk about this stuff. But if you
Hmm.
don't talk about it now, it will manifest itself in some different way down the road.
Mm, right. Um, so where would you say to start kind of for a couple that like I'm not even fully like certain on my beliefs around it because there is a little bit of a gray area too with like all the AI porn coming out. I'm not sure if you speak on that or what your kind of stance is on that.
Well, again, be more specific with where the gray is, right? I think the better question to ask is what does a truly intimate, vulnerable, romantic relationship with another person? What should that look like? So whether it's anime porn, AI porn, romance novels, traditional porn, for lack of a better word, strip clubs, prostitutes, massage parlors, blah 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 blah.
Right.
In my orientation, that's all going away from the intimacy and sacredness of the relationship.
Mm,
So I
right.
would ask you the
Right.
question: what do you view? What like how do you want to have, or what do you want your intimate romantic relationship to look like?
And then how does that bridge to porn kind of getting in the way of that?
Well, lust and love can't exist at the same time. So if you're just trying to fulfill all your lustful desires, then you're not loving your spouse.
Mm. How do you figure love and lust can't coexist?
Yeah, I say at the same time. right? So if I'm
Okay.
lusting after somebody or something else, if I'm
Okay.
masturbating while watching strangers have sex, I can promise you this, that in that moment, I'm not loving my wife,
Mm,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
So
That
if I
makes sense.
fuel those lustful desires, then I'm not acting in love towards my wife.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
Yeah,
so
that
you're
makes
you're
sense.
asking great questions, and I'm trying to just spin it back to like what are the values that you hold? What should the relationship look like? What are your standards? How do you view people? Those are
Mm-hmm.
the core of all these questions.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's interesting because I definitely resonate with like I view people as like dignified individuals who deserve to be respected, and and I do believe that like love isn't supposed to be for, obviously you can love anybody, but when you're in the context of a relationship, you should reserve like your love and all of that for your partner. I guess I haven't quite connected the dots in terms of how do I get from, I don't know, the the act itself doesn't seem to me immediately connected.
The act
It's
of watching
of like
pornography,
watching porn, yeah. Hmm.
yeah, doesn't seem connected to what?
Doesn't seem, um I don't know, maybe it's just a presence of mind thing, but directly connected to my ability to love my spouse.
Got it. Yeah. And again, just to be clear, I'm not saying you wouldn't love your spouse, but in that moment, I would make the argument, or at least for me, I can't claim that I'm loving my spouse while I'm masturbating to another woman while having sex on the internet, right?
Mm. And are
So
there other moments where you could be inhibited from loving your wife?
sure, right? I'm not perfect, right? Nobody
Okay.
nobody loves perfectly except for Jesus,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So
So,
so yeah, of course. But I think the word to use, the word I like to use, is striving towards. So I want to strive towards
yeah,
loving my
yeah.
wife to the best I can most of the time, more of the time. And I
Right.
know,
Rather than choosing. Yeah.
yeah. So if pornography is involved in that, I'm not striving towards loving my wife more. I'm choosing to
Hmm.
fall to my lustful temptation or my lustful desires.
Hmm. Yeah. What you just said reminded me of the previous conversation you had, that analogy that she was making of food
Hmm.
to porn. So saying like the food industry is corrupted, but we still eat. I think the difference in that would be, you have to eat to survive, whereas you actually have the choice to not watch porn.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and even that, I don't know if she's still here, but those types of arguments, I think, we're talking about cake,
Yeah.
not, yeah, like Patty 1501 just said, 1051. We're talking about cake, not a person. We're freaking
Yeah.
cake, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to a fully dignified person and how they should be treated. Do whatever you want to with your cake. I don't care. The cake doesn't care. It's just flour and sugar, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this takes a toll on people's soul.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's what it goes down to. And by the way, I'm not perfect at it, right? I don't fully perfectly treat people the way that I say I want to. I'm a human being, so are you, right? We all do that. But
Mm-hmm.
again, engaging in pornography is a pretty big, obvious way that people are willfully doing that, willfully, objectifying other people. And how do I know this? Well, I did it for 20 years. I watched pornography for 20 years. So I get
Right.
it, what that looks like,
Mm.
right? And it's just the way you view people is literally changed when you're viewing pornography.
Yeah, that's another interesting one as well. I don't. Would you say it just kind of de dehumanizes them
Hmm.
essentially?
Yeah, it
Um,
reduces them down to an object just for sexual pleasure, right? So it's literally
mhm.
taking the human component. That's why people like that woman so easily are like, well, it's not a real person; it's just a person on a screen. Well, okay, it's still a person,
Yeah.
right? You know, that I didn't go down that line with her because I didn't feel like it, but like, would you want your daughter to do that? Would you want your mom to do that? Would you want to do that yourself? You know,
Yeah.
most of the time
And
you're going to hear
the
no to each of those
exploitation.
questions.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry. I think there might be a little bit of a lag, so it kind of sounds like I'm interrupting you a little bit.
you're fine.
Uh, yeah, I think like also there's inherent exploitation in the fact that there's being money traded for sex, right? And whether like would this woman choose to be filmed having sex if she wasn't being paid for it, right?
Right.
And then also the she kept claiming like as long as it's between consenting adults and is ethical, that's something that like how are you going to tell? How are you going to know that at all?
Yeah. Well, and that's been proven so many times. You really can't know on porn sites. And that I'll cite that data all day long from the book Takedown. They did the study on Pornhub. 1 out of 8 videos on the homepage was underage or non-consensual. So if you've been to the major hub site, you probably have at least seen a thumbnail and little
That's
snippet
sickening.
of that. Yeah, 15% of the videos on the homepage are what they studied, and those are the only ones that they could confirm.
That is so sickening.
It's from the book Takedown. It's by the woman who basically got the essentially to where the credit card companies couldn't take payment anymore on the hub, and is what led to the age restrictions on the hub as well. Yeah, is her name Sheila?
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. And I like this because I definitely see like where the you can connect it to like Christianity. But I also like that it's you're not taking up that worldview solely. You're kind of talking about it from a very kind of logical perspective, I think.
Well, yeah, I can do either. I'm a Christian. I don't ask anybody to believe what I believe. I can present scientific arguments. I can present logical arguments. I can present faith-based arguments. So the evidence is clear in each case, right? I do think Jesus' words are pretty profound. You know, a man who even looks at a woman with lustful intent has committed adultery with her in his heart. If everybody adhered to that standard, we'd have a very different picture of what sex and sexuality looked like in this world.
Scientifically, what does pornography do to people who consume it?
It screws up the brain. So you get dopamine dependent, right? So it gives a supernatural, there's a clinical term for it, I don't know what it is, but it's like an unrealistic dopamine hit to your brain that is intended to only be experienced in sex, which is a little different when you're actually having sex, experiencing that. So you get this dopamine rush, and then your body craves it. And the only way it can continue getting that is by going to more risky types of pornography. That's why porn use always escalates. It always escalates into something else. So you look at the brain scan of a porn addict and a coke addict, they look pretty much the same because it screws up the
Right.
prefrontal cortex of the brain. To where
Right,
you
that
just
was my
find
next
yourself going
question.
back to it.
Yeah, my next question was going to be like, you kind of see the same trend with all addiction, right? Even with, you know, technology, I would say. But is there, I feel like it's probably a bit different when it comes to porn, like how the sexual aspect of it interacts with your brain differently, maybe than just like regular media.
Well, yeah, I'm not clear on the question, but I think it just points back to how do you view people, right? Like you know, I ask this question sometime, like, what does your life become to where to pass time on the weekend you just masturbate while watching strangers have sex? Almost always, we know when I work with these people, and when I work through it myself, there's loneliness involved, there's abandonment, there's not feeling good enough, feeling like I can't accomplish something. And you begin to eroticize your wounds, basically trying to seek out sexual pleasure to make you feel better about the wounds of your past. But once you dig beneath that, you can actually figure out what's going on to what got you to the place where you're trying to masturbate your problems away. Yeah, turning pain into pleasure.
Mm, okay. Hmm. I think my question was about specifically the chemical kind of reaction that happens in your brain when you consume porn versus when you consume uh, other types of media.
I don't know if it's different. I mean, consult your local neuroscientist. I'm just a guy who talks
Okay.
about porn on the internet. But there's actually a word for it. It's not supernatural, but it's like, there's like a range of dopamine where it's supposed to be,
Hmm.
and the release that happens when you're watching pornography is like beyond what the brain is supposed to handle when it's doing that repetitively over and over and over again. It like
Mm,
fries your brain.
right. Okay. No, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
For sure. And do you think, are you of the same kind of mind about masturbation in and of itself, like without porn?
Totally different topic. Um,
Okay.
the Dr. Trish Lee, who I refer to a lot on YouTube, Dr. Trish Lee has the best stuff on, well, she talks about pornography, but masturbation. So they're different. Most of the time we're talking about pornography, we're putting masturbation in the same category. Like you're typically
Hmm.
masturbating when watching pornography, though not always. But you don't have to watch pornography in order to masturbate.
Right.
Then the question is, you can still become dopamine dependent just on masturbating, to where you
Mm,
have to keep going back to it. And then there's compulsive masturbation. So,
right.
like, I'm not going to say masturbation is bad or wrong. However,
Hmm.
if you find yourself masturbating 17 times a day, well, that might be extreme, but it's not uncommon to hear 4, 6,
Hmm.
8, 10 times a day, and
Yeah.
you can't be intimate with a woman or man, whatever. Okay, well, that might be a problem.
That's a big problem. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So again,
Mhm.
it's not just is masturbation good or bad, but what are you using it for?
Problematic.
Yeah,
Right. Mhm.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
I think you've answered all of my questions really well, so I really
Hey,
appreciate
great
it.
questions. 10 out of 10 for those questions.
Really, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay. I'll be sticking around just listening. So
all right.
yeah, thanks.
Take care.
Keep it up.
Bye bye.
You too.
Yes, I have a cold. I think I'm going to call it a night here too. I think my daughter had an ear infection, and maybe it's a little more than an ear infection. And like literally 3 hours right before my calls tonight, I felt that little thing in my throat, and I told my wife, I'm like, I'm getting sick, and here we are, just a few hours later. So, um, yeah, I got the tickle. All right, I'm gonna get off here. By the way, I'm a coach. I do one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching, both for men who are dealing with unwanted sexual behavior, such as pornography or sex addiction, and women who are dealing with betrayal trauma. If you find yourself struggling with pornography or betrayal, and you're wanting to work through that, I have groups. We meet on either Tuesday nights or Wednesday afternoons. It's $99 a month. It's an hour and 15-minute weekly Zoom call. It's a great place to heal together in community. And Honest Love says, I highly recommend his groups. Thank you, Caitlin. We had a bunch of new people in the men's group tonight, which was awesome. And I also have a men's group on Wednesday afternoons as well, which are great. If you want to work through this, it's a great place to be. Just to give the guys a snippet of what happens in these groups. Tonight, we talked about abandonment and rejection. When's the last time you or your partners talked about their feelings of abandonment and rejection when they were a kid? Well, you know what? Probably not, because they're just masturbating to make themselves feel better about it. That's what I did. Didn't work. Tried that. Didn't work. Well, it worked, but it didn't get me to a good place in life. Anyways, if you want to schedule a discovery call with me, you can do that using the link in my bio or join one of my groups. Feel free to do that. But whatever you do have the power to choose. We do have free will. So what are you going to choose? Love, life, freedom? Not freedom in the American sense, freedom in the sense of living a free life, a flourishing life. Or something that's leading towards numbing out, death, destruction. The choice is always yours. What's it going to be? I'll choose life and love. Make it a great day or not, people. The choice is always yours. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.